There's an ancient story of a student who went to the master and said, "I pray, I study, I meditate, I do my daily rituals, and I even fast a little. I live in peace with others. Teacher, what more can I do?" The master rose, lifted his hands, and stretched his fingers out towards the heavens, when suddenly they became like 10 lamps of fire. And then he said, "You can become all flame." Welcome, I am Jareth Tempest, mystic, magician, psychonaut, astronaut, hierophant, all-around seeker of truth, author, full-time weirdo, and host of this show, where we talk about mysticism, the mystical journey, all that's magical in the universe, everything from spirits to spirituality, while I take you on a magical mystery tour of the inner worlds, and hopefully inspire you to take the next step so that you can become all flame. Alright, well, welcome to the show. Just so you know, I'm in the process of moving, and so things are going to be a little weird here the next few weeks. Like, next 2 or 3 weeks, we'll see how long all of this takes before I get settled into the new place. So if you hear any weird noises or anything, that's my wife and her friend just kind of doing some busy work that still needs to be done. That being said, you know, this episode and probably the next two might be a little bit shorter as I just deal with all of that, but it's probably a good thing. I've kind of been hitting you with well, that last episode was pretty hardcore. We went pretty deep there, and so let's take kind of a step back a little bit, and we'll talk about something a little bit lighter, but it's still, well, is if not equally profound, at least more useful. Yeah, let's go ahead and let's take care of some business. I have a Patreon that you can subscribe to. I've got multiple tiers, and each one has different things that I offer, including, you know, access to a growing number of servitors on the Shadow Worker tier. I've got weekly rituals that I offer that I do for the group as a whole on the Hierophant tier. I have, you know, and then just years worth of path workings and sigils and whatnot on the lowest tier, and then the $5 tier is where you can get access to like the podcast and all podcast stuff as I release that. There's not a whole lot specifically about that one yet, but now that we have the podcast going, there's going to start being more, and then once I get settled, there will be even more things that you'll have early access to. So yeah, check that out if you're interested in supporting the show. I've also got, I'll have my website and my Etsy store where I sell attunements in the description on the show notes. So yeah, depending on where you listen to the show, whether, you know, and what, you know, buttons they have or whatever, I subscribe, you know, like it, click the notification bell if you're on, you know, YouTube, and otherwise just, you know, share it with your friends and let people know. Keep us growing. I believe that's it. And well, I do want to mention, we did on the attunements, I have released a couple more of the Kabbalistic attunements. Working with John T. Meyer, we are releasing some very powerful attunements with the Kabbalistic divine names, and these names that have a lot of, that you see a lot of times in evocations and invocations and stuff, and different, especially like Solomonic magic, but, you know, just a lot of times that you see in the West, and we're going back to the actual Kabbalistic roots of a lot of these things, and we're finding the true power and that these names carry. So we have like Adonai, and this name opens the way to a spirit, so you know, or to a concept such as like abundance, and it's kind of that we use the language of a gateway, but it's not, you know, it's not like Rick and Morty where suddenly a portal appears, but it still is, it just opens that way and allows the spirit or the energy to come through. And then Eya, which will help awaken the divinity within you and help you get in touch with it, and your divine, that inner divine authority that will allow you to command and recreate the world. Yeah, check out the Etsy store if you're interested in those. All right, so let's get on with the show. So one of the questions that I am asked on a fairly regular basis, especially when dealing with with the attunements and stuff, is I offer a more eclectic assortment of spirits, especially deities. Well, people will ask, okay, so like I would release Kali, and people would like, so is can I use the Yahweh attunement to command Kali? I didn't really have an answer for that because I mean, there's a lot, in my opinion, that's just kind of almost wrong with that question. But kind of having that in mind, we went to Raziel, and because Raziel had mentioned in our very first interview, because one of the first questions I asked, I was like, can you teach us more about, can we ask you questions about the universe and then find out how things work? And one of the things she said was that I can tell you about your universe. So, I had to specify, I wanted things, for the things that apply to all of us. And when we're doing these interviews, we're trying to find not questions on how my inner universe works, but on how the overarching structure of the entire universe works, that some of the things that we all share in common. And that's the main focus that I'm trying to find with these in these interviews. However, the fact that we do have a tremendous say in how our own universe works, that's a very profound and powerful piece of knowledge that will free you from a lot of perceived constraints. And so let's look and see what Raziel actually said, and then we can try to talk about what that means. So I asked, last time you mentioned that everyone's universe is unique, though they overlap. Would it be true to say that we build our own magical universe based on our experiences and beliefs? Raziel replies, build their own schematic as you grow. To which I'd say, so we grow our universes by introducing new concepts and ideas. And Raziel says, yes, as you experience things, that becomes your reality. Everyone. Perception is truth. What you believe creates your connection. So then I say, so if somebody grew up in a tradition like Christianity, and they built their universe around that belief system, and then they introduced a deity foreign from that tradition, like Kali, how would that become one? Would Kali be within their universe, answerable to Jesus and Mary? And Raziel says, well, not exactly. There's a level of self-awareness that's required, and trying to introduce something strange into something so constricted, there are no hard and fast laws on the universe, and she kind of trails off, there's a mental flexibility required to bring something foreign into such a rigid context. Okay, but say somebody has then opened themselves beyond their tradition, and they're trying to encompass more, and they begin bringing outside influences. Do they then kind of create the hierarchies themselves? Or is there really no such thing as a hierarchy? Raziel says, a hierarchy does not feel like the right kind of term. There are layers and ways and things overlap, but it's not who's the boss of who. Everyone creates their own framework, and they can then slot whatever deities into those interactions will be constrained by the way you interact with them. So, what does this mean? Basically, it means that there's a sort of a framework to the universe. There is sort of an idea that certain, well, that's not really even true. It's more of a, so we'll start. As we are taught about the spiritual world, usually we learn as children through religion, and we're taught our religion, and we're taught, the god of that religion, and then maybe some angels or some demigods, and then some different saints or ascended masters or whatnot. It kind of creates and it's almost always based on some, ancient human system like feudalism or something with kings and princes and stuff, or at least it kind of works that way, lords and whatnot. We have this very human idea of, whoever's in charge can order around the people beneath them. And I guess the first thing we need to say, that it really doesn't work that way. That's not even, the idea has always been, when you're doing an evocation, that you call on more powerful entities to say, hey, I've got the power of these people behind me, you should do what I say. There's always been an element of a kind of a spiritual bluff about that in the first place. But that concept has entered into magic, as though we need to know who the higher ups are. And we turn to these religions and we try to see, what they said, and then we look in the grimoires and see what other people have said, and what other, mystics have seen and figured out. But the truth of it is that it works the way we believe it works. So the way we were initially taught can be very important in our understanding of, so the way we were taught can have a huge impact on the way that our magic is going to work in the future. And as we learn more, you kind of have to break out of those ideas, because those ideas will keep you locked in and keep you from working with certain spirits or traditions or whatnot. And you need to, so first you have to be able to break out of those constraints, and then this is going to sound really crazy to a lot of people, but you can create your own hierarchy once you understand these things. I remember I was going through, I think it was a book by S. Connolly, and she included all of these different hierarchies, demonic hierarchies, that different magicians had created over the years. And so, a lot of, especially beginners, will be asking, well, which one is right? This one has it set up this way, and then where these people are in charge, and then over here they're not in charge anymore. They're like a rank lower, and someone else is in charge. Which one is right? Well, the answer to that question is whichever one you believe in. And then she goes on to kind of even say, like, you can pick and choose, and then you'll create your own hierarchy. And as you work with it, and you'll see that it works, then you'll believe in it more, and the more you believe in it, the more it'll work for you. Because what I've kind of discovered is that divinity is like a fluid, in that it takes the shape of whatever you pour it into. Magic wants to work for you, and it will work in whatever shape you kind of create for it. And so you got to the main thing is just, you just have to believe in the shape that you're pouring it in. And so, in a sense, you can say that the ceremonial magicians are right, but then so are the chaos magicians. Both are right. And so this is definitely the, last episode I was talking about how we create, we can change the world, and we can change reality, with our belief. And this is really the beginning of it. We can change our own magical world by our belief system. And then this isn't just like something that you can kind of half-heartedly do. You really do need to believe in it. And that would be, I think, one of the differences with, why people would make fun of somebody saying this. It's like, because you can't just like, okay, I pick this one, and I pick this one, and I pick that one, and then suddenly have it just work brilliantly. And, usually you have to find some kind of logic to help convince yourself of why it would work that way. And you kind of just have to figure out, how your own system of figuring out how these things work. And then what I think, and another point that I want to kind of mention, is that I think a lot of magical training, and not everything, but a lot of magical training is just teaching you a particular belief system and teaching you how to make that system work. It's not necessarily that system is completely right, and this is the way the universe works overall. It's that this is a working system that will get you the results you want. And so you believe in it, you work in it, you use its symbol set, and you really work with it and try to get it into your subconscious and your belief so that you believe in it. And then by doing that, then you do believe in it. So in a way, while this isn't exactly, a tightly kept secret or anything, but this is definitely giving away the game for, how magical orders work and how this stuff works. You just believe in it. And again, the way the belief tends to work is for people isn't to just create it themselves, but it's to kind of accept it from a trusted figure, and then to work with it and have them form, and by working with it, again, like I was saying, you put it into your subconscious and you work with it. So what does this mean for the average, person listening to this? Well, it means that you can quit worrying whether or not the system that you're working in is the right one or the wrong one, or worrying if another one will be more effective. They are all equally effective. It's just a matter of how much do you believe in what you're working with. And so you can quit trying to chase the next shiny thing around the corner and just devote yourself wholeheartedly to what you're doing. Find the system that you enjoy and that you resonate with. And that was another big thing is because I would then go on to ask Raziel about, working with spirit, going deeper with the system as opposed to keep building on more. And what Raziel says, you got to find, it's not so much, just sticking with what you have, but you do have to find the one that you click with, that speaks to you, and that, I use the word resonate a lot. You got to find the one that sets you on fire. You got to find that one that's that you're excited to work with, and for whatever reason, maybe, and the way it seems to happen is it can be a little weird. You'll try it, because right now we have a plethora of different options for magic, and you have all these books like the Gallery of Magic and my books and the Power of Magic books that introduce you to all kinds of different kinds of magic. And then we have other authors who are diving more into the Greek magic, and that's Greek magic's having a moment right now with Jack Grail and what's his name, Jason Miller and his Hecate course, and I see a lot of talk about the Greek magical papyri going on. And so anyway, I'm just saying that there's all this Greek is kind of becoming the big thing, and whereas like a couple of years ago Enochian kind of blew up when Damon Brand introduced success magic with using the Enochian system, and then shortly after, Corin Hargrove came out with Universal Magic. I had a lot of really good success with Universal Magic, so that kind of really got me more interested. I'd worked with Enochian before, but there was a something I had to do before I could go and really work with those angels. They were like, no, you need to go do something else, some other things first. And so it wasn't until I was able to finish those that I was able to work. But it was through working with that Universal Magic book that I realized that that had opened up for me, and I could go back and start working with that again. I simply say that by using that book and some other things, I was like, oh, this is the system that works for me, that's calling to me, that I feel at home with. This is the one for me. But just because it's the one for me doesn't mean it's the best form of magic. I'm not trying to tell everyone that they have to go out and learn Enochian because it's the best. It's like, I have a friend who works with Islamic magic and the jinn, and he has amazing results with that, and to him, that's way better than Enochian would ever be. And so you just have to find that idea, that one that that really just speaks to you and turns you on, and that'll be the one. But then you want to always remember that it works the way you believe it works, and You shouldn't be worried too much about getting it just right. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that within these systems anything goes. Just that you don't. So many people worry so much about doing it wrong. And honestly, the biggest thing that could ever go wrong is just when something goes wrong is that it just won't work. It's not going to kill anybody. You're not going to open a portal to hell, more than likely. Nothing like that, and unless you're trying to do something like that and then you just leave it open, you have to be trying to do some of this crazy stuff to be able to mess up in a spectacular way. You have to be doing some spectacular attempt at something, but just trying to manifest more money or change some personality traits isn't going to do anything real crazy or bad or hurt you in any way. And so you just gotta learn the system but then don't feel locked into the rules of it. Feel free to try things out and experiment, and to find the way of working with it that is your way. And that's really what it is. It's like, I think the way that magic works the best is when you find the system that you resonate the most with, and then you make it your own. And that can be doing it exactly the way it is in the book, then the masters have taught it, or it can be just using it as a springboard for your own experimentation. And both will be just equally good for you. And so, that's really kind of the idea that I want you to kind of take away from the show, is that you're free to experiment, you're free to try new things and find what really works for you, and then customize it and just make it your own. And don't be afraid to try it out and to experiment, to be a mad scientist with it. It's fine, it's fun. You'll figure, some things might not go right, and it'll be a learning experience, and you'll know, hey, that didn't work, don't do that again. And then you can try something else. But don't let it make you afraid of the system or of experimenting. That's just part of how it goes. You gotta learn that process of it's like it's a science. You try something, you have a hypothesis, you try something, it either succeeds and your hypothesis is correct, or it fails and it's not, and you have to make another one. You want to try to limit your variables. It's a very much like a science experiment. And then the fewer variables you have, the more you're able to figure out what might have caused the mistake. And that's just a helpful way of working with things. But so anyway, that's the gist of what I wanted to talk about today. Like I said, we're going to try to keep things a little shorter, just because so much is going on and things are so crazy. And it's not so much how long it takes to record, it's how long it takes to edit. And there's just, a lot for me to take care of. So, the practical thing, we're going to talk about but it's not, might not seem as practical, but I think that it's really one of the most important things that will help your practical magic be more effective, that a lot of people overlook, and it's gratitude. And that's why I wanted to get this in early as we talk about these things, because you really gratitude will cover a lot of sins. It's like, one of the worst things you can do in magic is what they call lusting for results, and it's where after you perform a ritual, you keep wondering or worrying about how the results are going to manifest and when they're going to manifest and when are you going to get what you want. And you're sitting there stressing about it. And the biggest thing that you can do to keep that from destroying your results, because that's what it'll do, it'll keep you from getting it, is just to stop and just to be grateful as though you already have it. And that's just the beginning of what gratitude does. If you just are grateful And if and again, we work it into the system that you have. If you believe in, that the universe is, as God or something like that, then you're grateful to the universe. Or if you believe, or if you're working with a particular spirit, then you want to be grateful to that spirit or deity or whatever it is. But it's just, you want to be grateful. And when you get something, take a moment, or to be grateful, and to just really, let it soak in. Like, man, you just got something really amazing from whoever, and you should really be grateful. And this doesn't mean that you have to go and give an offering or anything crazy. Just feel grateful and aim that gratitude towards that spirit, or even summon that spirit again and just express, let them feel your gratitude. And if you're not working with a spirit, just take a moment, even if it's a sigil like we talked about before. Just be grateful to, whatever it is, to that ultimate divine, that you got what you asked for. And even outside of just your regular magic, though, you need to just start having this, you need to cultivate this attitude of gratitude, where you are grateful for everything you have. It's actually, I mean, this is actually life-changing stuff. Because what happens is, the more that you stop and are just even momentarily and are just grateful for the good things you have, you'll begin to be more optimistic, I would almost say. And you'll be able to, you'll stop seeing the things you don't have and start seeing the things you do have. Because the more that you are aware of what you have and are grateful for what you have, then the more that those things will start to flow into your life. And this is one of the secrets of abundance and prosperity magic and health magic, and just all of the good things in this life. This is the way you, gratitude is the doorway, it is the gateway, it is the way that you open yourself to receiving, is by being grateful to it and being grateful for it. And so just, something you can begin to do is just, once a day, start doing that little thing that people do on Thanksgiving. You're like, what am I grateful for this year, or whatever. And it sounds totally hokey and cheesy, and it kind of is, but, that's fine. It's fun. It's okay to be a little cheesy and stuff every now and then. But just, stop and think about your day or your week or whatever, and, what do you have that you're grateful for, and what have you received in that time that you're grateful for. And it can be everything from, good news to finding a little extra, so a piece of, some money in your pocket that you'd forgotten about, or that the bad news wasn't as bad as it could have been. That even that can be something to be grateful for. If you can't find anything good in your life, at least be grateful that it's not as bad as it could be. Yeah, maybe one day we'll talk about that, and how a powerful message, how life-changing even that can be. Because I definitely have a story to go with that, but it's going to take up more time than we have right now. But yeah, that just, have a little, maybe a little ritual or whatever whatever you want to call it, where you count your blessings every day. And just, like I said, doing this is going to slowly open you up to so much more in life and all of the good things that you want. And it really is kind of a key to that, to unlocking your ability to, to manifest and your practical magic, and whatever you call it in your system, your tradition, or whatever. So anyway, I think that's about all I'm going to talk about today. I just really wanted to kind of get this concept out there, that you are the master of your inner world, and you create your own inner world, and you can reject what has been taught to you and just learn a new one, and work with it. And by, the more you work with it, the more it's going to be real and it'll work for you. And then you need to just incorporate gratitude into that, and things will open up for you. Your life will begin to change for the better. It's just more good things begin to come to you. Okay, well, that's all I have for you this week. Again, I just thank you all for tuning in and for giving me your time. I know how precious that is, especially these days. So thank you, and I just really want to express my gratitude to each and every one of you for listening and taking time to be here today. All right, thank you, and I'll see you next week.